Hey, good afternoon, Rashida. This is David Beer. I'm here at 8105 Cheryl Meadows. We're about to do the inspection, or actually the inspection's being done right now. And right after this, I'm going to walk in. We're going to have a brief little discussion regarding the condition of the property. Then also there's going to be a report followed probably within the next 48 hours or 12 to 48 hours. However, we can start now. I've got a repairman, a handyman. I'm going to give him a list of things that I saw that I thought were of top priority, and I'll get an estimate for those so we'll know what kind of dollar figure that we're working on and see what we can do about negotiating those repairs. Here's the report, or here's the verbal report. You'll get the written report in just a little bit. Hey, thanks for following along with me, and we'll talk some more. Whenever you get this, whenever you have any questions, I am available to you. Just send me a quick text and I'll get prepared for our phone call and give you a call. So here we go. Okay, yeah, John, I'm ready to go for you.
Okay, so I'm going to hit some highlights. I'm not going to go over everything on here. I encourage you to read the entire report. If you have any questions, feel free to call me. There's contact information in the link that you get from us when we send the report. But just generally, it looks like the foundation has had some work at some point. There's some patches back on the patio. They actually removed some tiles and they didn't put them back. It makes me think they did some foundation work. All in all, it looks like the foundation is performing today. I see signs of movement, but it's, you know, as of today, it looks, it doesn't feel like it's not, or it's unlevel, or at least not enough to notice. I'd say generally the foundation is doing its job, even though there's a few signs here and there of foundation movement. Grading is not perfect. We like to see a grade away from the house as you go 10 feet out, 6 feet drop, so that water naturally flows away. You're just kind of flat around here. I'd be more concerned about depressions that are near the foundation where water could collect, seep into the soil and cause some potential foundation movement because the soil expands and contracts. So that's foundation. Oops. The roof, just found out that it's 5 or 6 years old. It does look newer, but there are some damaged shingles that need to be addressed. There's a pretty good picture in here that I would show a roofer, and probably not hard. I did see a couple of little water stains that are probably old. They don't look like they're current, but I did see some. There has been a lot of work done in the drywall. I see cracks that have been repaired, probably after the foundation was adjusted. They fixed a lot. When we see fresh paint or fresher paint, we don't know what we can't see anymore, but we can see repairs in a few places, and I point those out in the report. There's some trees that need to be trimmed on the left side or right side, one side or the other. It's touching the house, it's starting to touch the roof. That can cause damage. I've seen relatively new roofs be ruined pretty quickly by branches that are rubbing on the roof and through to the decking. One of the bigger concerns I have is on the back patio.
Ready when you are.
Okay, so on the back patio where the patio cover attaches, first of all, it's not attached properly. It needs to be lag bolted in. And I think it must not be flashed properly because there's some water staining on the inside of the ledger. There's some pictures in here. And it looks also like on top, they tried to patch up the seam on top, which is not really the way you're supposed to fix that. Maybe you get a roofer out to give you an idea about, or somebody that can assess that a little bit better, but it does look like some water has gotten into some areas. Now I can't tell that it's gotten into the wall on the inside. It may all be behind the vinyl siding and on the outside of the old siding was there. But it looks like there is some water getting to areas where it's not supposed to go. There's some exposed wiring where they added some lighting. I'd like to see that in conduit. There is some cracking in the brick, particularly above the garage. That's the worst of it. It looks like the what we call a lintel that holds up the brick over the garage door. It looks like it's sagging a little bit, and there's some cracks corresponding. Now that probably took a long time to happen, and I measured it. The difference between the sides and the middle is the sag, and I've been told by engineers that if it's less than 5/8 of an inch, it's fine. Now, maybe different engineers would tell you different things. I actually measured it at around 1/2 inch. Now, I can't tell you that it's okay, but it is technically within a tolerance. I would repoint the bricks or re-mortar the bricks just to keep the water from out of there. There are we talked about sheetrock. There are cracks in the ceiling that have been repaired mostly. There's a few that are forming, but they're pretty small for the most part. In the garage, there's a few, wherever there's a wall or ceiling adjacent to living space or attic space in the garage, it needs to be completely covered with a fire rated barrier, a 20-minute separation. Wherever there's cracks or openings, that fire barrier has been compromised. There's a couple of areas that need to be patched up. I took pictures, they're in the report, but I would recommend you do that. And also, while we're talking about the door going into the garage, should close by itself, and this one doesn't have a self closer. You can add either a closer or hinges that have springs in them. There's a couple of dings in the vinyl siding on the outside, a couple of loose areas, but most of it looks good. The tile on the patio where they repaired the foundation, they just pulled off the tile and they didn't put it back, so there's some exposed foundation there. The handrail going up the stairs on the top and the bottom, it's supposed to terminate into the wall so people don't catch their coat or purse or something, and that could be hazardous. The step on the front going into the house is too high. It's supposed to be 7 3/4 of an inch. The sidewalk is actually dropped a little bit, so technically someone could trip on that, and that could be a problem. Few things you'll see and just not understand what it is, I think. If not, give me a call. GFCIs in the kitchen. There's a couple of areas where GFCI, ground fault, current interrupter is there for wet areas, outside kitchens, laundry rooms, garages. And they have the little reset button you've probably seen. Well, the walls in the kitchen next to the stove are not protected that way, so that needs to be added. The garage is not protected and the exterior is not protected. Now typically the exterior is protected by the garage and the one in the garage is not tripping. If you put a good one in there, it'll probably fix the ones on the outside. And then there's some extra outlets that they ran straight from the box where they did not protect those with GFCI outlets either. One more thing, the bathrooms are double GFCI protected. The good news is it still protects you. The bad news is what happens is you put a GFCI here and then downstream you put another GFCI. Well, if this one trips, this one also trips, and in order to reset this one, you have to reset this one. And if you don't know that, you may have trouble getting that back on. So wherever I think the downstairs bathroom is the first one in line, and then the upstairs bathrooms, or downstream from that. If you have questions about that, just give me a call. The AC worked quite well. I think I decided it was 10 years old, which is sort of middle-aged, but it works well today, which is the good news. It heated up real well, and it's a heat pump. And we're in a situation today, which is rare, which is I could test the heat and the cool. Sometimes usually it's either too hot or too cold to test one of those. I was able to test both of them today. The one thing that I was not able to test because the thermostat is wrong is the emergency heat. It's a backup heating system, but because the thermostat doesn't have a emergency setting, you can't test that or use it if you need it. So the thermostat needs to be upgraded. Smoke alarms are old. Probably need to replace them. 10 years old. They're the ones that are yellow. They used to design those things, I understand, so that when they turn yellow, they're too old. They need to be replaced. It looks like the air conditioner the primary line did get clogged up at one point, and it was dripping into the pan, and there's some rust in there. There's some water staining, like it got clogged. That's actually, there's a secondary drain system just for that, but they ignored it apparently. Now they have a switch so that if the primary drain clogs up, it'll shut the system down so that people can't ignore it anymore. The secondary drain system won't work anymore because the pan that's connected to that is not connected to the exterior anymore. The master shower hot and cold is reversed, so what you would normally expect to be hot is cold, and what you expect to be cold is hot. There's a couple of drains that are under the sinks they use these accordions, flexible things. You're not supposed to use those long term. What happens is they get clogged up more, so you just need to replace that with a proper type of pipe. It's not hard, but people got lazy and they just put the accordion drains. There's pictures of them in the report. The temperature pressure relief discharge for the water heater doesn't go low enough on the outside. It's supposed to go within 6 inches of the ground. It's about 9 inches. And that could be hazardous, especially if there's a walkway over there. If someone's walking when that valve blows off, that's steam. You could burn somebody. The oven doesn't have its anti-tip device. If a little kid stepped on the door, it could come over on them. And those are the highlights. I didn't talk about everything here in the interest of time. Read the whole report, ask questions, call me if you have any questions. Most of it you'll see and it'll make sense, hopefully.
Hey, thank you.
Yep, thank you.
So Rashida, that pretty much covers the bulk of the inspection, the items that are on there. All of these, in my opinion, are minor issues. And when you see the written report and you see John Burry's pictures, you're going to see that he's actually nitpicking the house quite in detail. However, I did want to let you know, part of the offer, we have a $550 home warranty to cover everything in the house for the first year. So all your major appliances and some of your systems, the water system, electrical system, and foundation system, may be covered under the policy, but I can tell you this is the best policy that OneGuard offers, and here's just a little picture of the policy so you know what I'm talking about.